Good morning, gang. Welcome to the Alpha Shift podcast. I'm David Krueger, and I am here remotely with my sidekick by my side once again. Hey, Don.
Hey, Dave, I have missed you.
I have missed you too. We are, just like everyone around the world, living on lockdown in some of the most interesting times we've ever lived in.
Absolutely.
And yes, and you and I haven't talked in almost a month. And so we got a lot to catch up on this morning. And I know it's like Saturday morning that we're doing the podcast. Normally it's Thursday nights, and like I'm winding down, and the kind of the day is behind me, and this is kind of nice, kind of getting started with some energy. And the day I'm looking forward to the day. And so yeah, I want to catch up. This is going to kind of be the Carol Burnett show this morning because it's a variety. I've got a few things I want to talk about. I want to talk about some of the things I see going on in the world, and maybe some things to think about in relation to our content. I also want to talk about a shifting direction that we're going to see with the Alpha Shift. I hope everyone is taking this time to go within themselves, to transform, to take advantage of the unique opportunity presented by slowing our lives down and slowing the world down. And I've got actually a question that came in from a reader that we're going to talk about, which relates to this. And I'm going to give you a couple of recommendations for some things you might want to look into. For some interesting things, stories in the news or the alternative news. But the first thing I want to start with, Don, I want to know how you're doing. Give me an update on Don and the Kowalewski family.
Well, to your first point, how can anyone not be doing a rethink and just kind of a reprogramming and taking a step back? Because this is what every self-help book will say, like, oh, you need a sabbatical, you need to remove yourself from the everyday grind. And now, regardless of your opinion, this has been thrust upon us. So yes. Who has not thought long and hard about everyone, the elderly, the sick, the poorest among us, the richest among us, the seniors in high school? I keep going back to that because it's such a broken-hearted. But for your question, I am good. I am healthy, and that's the position I'm taking away from this. Is that what starts is first is how do we keep as many people healthy and alive, and then I got 3 teenagers in my house, and I just am enjoying it. We're having bonfires. We're playing games. We're really a very cliche version of the quarantine, but I have my job. That's great. It's gone away. My wife is a teacher. She's teaching her second graders via Zoom, and she did a talent show on Friday. It's fantastic the way people are being creative. It shows our Americanness that we are going to find a way. We always have. Like, how do we get to California? Well, why don't we build railroads? And boom, off we went to California. Yes. And suddenly there was no obstacle that could stop us. And, we want all these people living here. Let's build skyscrapers. Like, this is what Americanism is about. Yeah. And I feel it. So I hope in the next 45 minutes, first of all, we solve all the political drama and we bring peace
we'll
to
resolve
Earth.
Yes.
It's in 45 minutes.
In 45 minutes.
We're going to figure out if hydrochloroquine is the cure or not.
Okay.
And then we will talk about the new Alpha Shift, and we're going to make every man in the whole world a better place.
Every man in the whole world, a better man, a more aware man, and someone more in control of his destiny. Yes, so we're pretty much going to solve. That's how I'm going to advertise this episode, Don, is solution to every problem in the world. Listen to this, and you will magically transform. You will grow a foot taller, grow muscles, have a new income, a new wife, a new life. And
we're going to keep it under an hour.
And it's free. Yeah. What more do you want? So, yeah. Oh, man. So I'm glad to hear you're doing well. And I'm glad to hear that the Kowalewski family is thriving under, because you hear so many interesting people saying, I know, and some people are stuck at home and they're going to get divorced. No, I think that I think this is probably the sort of thing that your kids will look back in their teenage years and be like, that was one of the best times ever, because they were dad and that's where a lot of memories I think are going to be, a lot of great memories. And I think a lot of families, a lot of people I'm in touch with, and a lot of touching stories I watch on Facebook. People are just getting back to doing things that make them happy and having family time, doing barbecues, just doing fun stuff that in our fast-paced lives we don't have time for. I will tell you that in my own life, I am very, very, very busy, unnecessarily busy. I'm always going on to the next thing. I'm always writing the next marketing email. I'm always writing out the next to-do list. And it's very hard for me sometimes to slow down. And so this quarantine, I was slow to want to slow down. I was going into the studio with Jay to the last minute. Well, we still could.
Yes, you were.
And and I was doing my side gigs, until Gretchen Whitmer locked the whole state down. I have mixed feelings about that, but it literally, I did it till I couldn't, and once I couldn't, I had to slow down, and so there are going to be consequences for the Alpha Shift and for its readers and for its customers, because what has happened through meditation, contemplation, and through almost every day being on very supportive Zoom calls with many of my friends from all over the world. We've all bonded together. I've got, and through the information network, I've got so many friends in Europe and other countries, and and it's such a positive group of people, and we always want an excuse to spend more time together to get to an event. Well, let me tell you what has happened in the last month. A very enterprising woman from Germany organized these calls. We do them 2 or 3 times a week, and we get together, we check in. Somebody will do a guided meditation, somebody will share a story. It'll be interactive, and we're all more connected now than we have ever been at any point in the past. It's been a major blessing, and I have felt that I have had so much support in a time when I could otherwise be isolated at home with no one. The technology that allows us to video call. I bet Zoom stock is probably zooming upward, Don.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody's doing that, and it has been transformative for me. I have, and here's what I'm going to tell listeners of this podcast. I have given myself permission to throw aside the marketing mumbo jumbo and to stop looking at what the market buys the most. And I am going to bring through my most authentic self, which is something the market has never seen. I was on a personal call with a friend of mine the other day, and he subscribes to my Alpha Shift emails. He's another friend from Germany, and they can be a little frank in conversation. And he says, "Buddy, your emails." He didn't say they suck. He said they're all about sex. And that's not you. You're not living your full purpose. It's just shit. Why are you doing that? And the reason, Don, is because I do a lot of affiliate promotions in the emails, and the sexy porn star stuff sells a lot of product and throws a lot of commissions my way. And I'm going to now have to divorce myself from everything that is not authentically what I stand for. No more whoring myself for the paycheck. Which is,
I'm proud of you, Dave.
No more whoring myself for the paycheck. And so it's going to be more personal stuff. I can't sell you things all the time. In fact, my next product isn't even made yet. It's still being created within me as we go. And I'm going to shift the focus away from how to get. It's very easy to market a product for how to get your wife to want to sleep with you more, how to get women to respond to you, and all these things with masculine thinking. We see a problem and we want to fix it. Show me the solution. Show me how to, get the radiator screwed on tighter. Show me how to get this thing going down the road in a straight line. We fix problems. That's how we think. The problem is that when we apply it to our grander relationships and the meaning in our lives, it's not a straight line. We're for solving an engineering problem, do it the masculine way of thinking. A lot of other things require you to kind of back off and have a wider perspective. I don't want to say use feminine thinking. I don't want to assign all that to that, but
no, but I think it's using human thinking.
Human thinking. And I want men to become the greatest version of themselves. I'm going to find a way to get the message out that when you can release yourself from codependency on relationships or needing a certain thing to be happy, when you can find the happiness and the awareness and the stillness within you, as I have begun to do now in my life, everything then becomes possible. And it becomes possible from a place where you can truly find happiness. Because real happiness, Don, it comes within you. It is self-generated. There is a great It's a meme that I see a lot of people sharing on Facebook. It's a picture of Jim Carrey, like late model Jim Carrey with the beard looking all crazy. And he says, I wish everyone would get everything they want, fame and fortune, so they'd realize it's not the answer. And I think that's so true. And what I'm going to say for the alpha shift is I wish every guy would get his dream girl or dream situation so he would see that she's not the answer. The only thing that is the answer is what is within him. And so, Don, that in a nutshell is where I'm going to take this. What do you think?
I mean, I can tell you as a guy working in the 8:30 to 5:30 workaday world in advertising sales, it's that humanness that has suddenly, we are all on a level playing field. It has changed the conversation. And you talk about the busyness, in a sales role, when someone
Mhm.
works they're a salesman for a company, and I think it's across the board. It's take this training module, hop on this conference call. You've got to have 6 in-person meetings because in-person meetings work better than over the phone meetings. And then we have to have a sales meeting with our entire staff and our bosses. And then, in my world, we have to have another, like a promotions meeting. And it's like, go, go, go. And then you've got, I'm lucky I have a 25-minute commute to work, a 25-minute commute home from work, but that's time. I'm listening to a podcast, but then, I'm going to have my side hustle. I'm going to write my book. I'm going to do the podcast with you. And this has caused me to slow down.
Mhm.
And I, where we are disconnected. Like we can't see each other, but I can tell you with my clients, I'm having the greatest, most in-depth human conversations with them that I've
Mhm.
never had before. And I actually was talking to coworkers about this. It's like in a sales role, it's like you always think the person on the other end of the phone is this monster who's just going to
Mhm.
rip your head off the minute they smell sales on your breath. And
Yeah.
now you pick up the phone and you genuinely, like in advertising, have you thought about your message? What's going to happen with your business after we get over this quarantine and we get back to somewhat normal? And what will normal look like? And how can we help? And they
Yeah.
we will just talk. Like normally, if I can get this person off the phone in 5 minutes and get a yes and get a meeting, then I'm good. Now it's like, let's stay on the phone. Let's
Mhm.
talk. I'll see any idea and I'll look for every idea. And it's just an exchange. You talk about your friends all over the world. I mean, we've talked about this before. Our fraternity brothers, we're doing happy hours on Zoom
That
every
was so
week.
much fun.
Yeah, we just did one. We just did one last night, and some guys are available, and some guys aren't. And my coworkers, we're doing virtual happy hours on Friday, and it has just changed. And what you're looking at with the alpha shift, it has to, because we're living through history that didn't affect just a part of the country or a part of the world. It affected everyone. Everyone is in this same boat, and things aren't going to be back to let's go to Michigan Stadium or Tiger Stadium or let's go to a concert or let's all go out to eat. It's going to be a very slow adjustment back, and I think it's the perfect time to kind of shift the alpha shift.
Yes. And I'm gonna go one further on you, Don. I don't think we're going back to anything. I think we're going forward. I think that the new normal is going to be a very different thing than what the old normal was.
It has to
And
be. Has to
it
be.
it has to be. And I'm going to suggest, and I'm just going to drop this right here kind of in the middle of this podcast, and I'm not going to go into it because this is not an alternative news or a conspiracy blog. But there may be a lot more going on here than a pandemic. There might be a little bit going on behind the scenes. I'm going to recommend that everyone who listens to this go check out. It's a documentary film, and it is going around. It's circulating around the internet like wildfire. It's viral like nothing I've ever seen. It's called Out of Shadows. You can check out outofshadows.org, or you can just go look it up on YouTube. It's available for free to watch. Go take a look at it and send me a message and let me know what you think. It touches on a good deal of the structure of the world, things that we never knew, and things that are transpiring right now. It is not woo woo. It was produced by a couple of former Hollywood stuntmen who noticed some interesting things going on in their beloved business and the investigation that they did, and it is very eye opening. And I will tell you that concurrent to that, I think that there is a consciousness shift going on in humanity. I think that we are collectively elevating, and I think that certain things that were allowed to be in the past will no longer be allowed to be. I think we're going in a wonderful direction. I think that we are going to see a much better world eventually than we once did. It's going to be interesting, but I think that we are on the precipice of massive change, and I think it's all good. But I'm gonna drop that there for now and suggest to our listeners that they check that out, and maybe we can discuss it in a future podcast, or I can do it in future articles. But there's a great deal going on there, and once you check out that movie, here's another little hint that I'm going to leave you. Go on Instagram, check out Lady Gaga's Instagram. Go to her latest post and look at the comments. Do that after you watch the movie.
Boy,
That's
you are connecting some dots. This is
connecting.
this is a beautiful mind. We've got watch this movie,
and then
Lady Gaga.
Oh yeah, go and it's her most recent post, and look at the comments, and then Katy Perry too. Look at her the recent comments in her most recent post, and what that will show you is that whether you think that what you're seeing is absolutely resonates with truth, or whether you think it's hogwash, what that will show you when you look at that movie and then go look at the comments on Instagram, what it will show you is that this awareness is reaching a critical mass. And I think that is very interesting and worth a future conversation. I'm just going to kind of leave that here for the moment. And but regardless of that conversation, I think that it is so important to take the reins and harness this time of change and really make everyone make the most out of it. I mean, this is a chance. I mean, let's play. I really don't want to put this in quotes because you'll understand when you watch the movie why I want to. But let's play devil's advocate for a minute and say, okay, the only thing that changes is we go out of business for a few months, and then the economy slowly starts again. So let's say you are in a situation where you would be looking, frankly, at a bankruptcy. I mean, we've got business owners who aren't going to be able to reopen, people who are going to be, permanently or semi-permanently unemployed. That would typically be a very stressful situation for most people to go through.
Yes.
But here's my little caveat on that. Everyone's going through it at the same time in a way that we've never seen, not even with the Great Depression. I mean, to hit the whole world all at once. So I think that we're going to see forgiveness programs, and we're going to see repair programs and things that never existed before.
You are right. I mean, this hasn't just happened to one group, and right. I can't say, "Wow, Dave, you're out of work. What did you do wrong? How come you didn't plan for this?" Because nobody planned for this, and it's always like, okay, you're supposed to have 3 months worth of saving, 3 months worth of living expenses in savings. So if anything bad happens, you have at least 3 months to figure it out. But we know that's not reality for, I'm going to say, a large percentage of
a vast majority of Americans.
Right? Yeah. If you have a month worth, you're pretty good, but most people do not.
Right.
And but they didn't do anything wrong, because they were getting by. They were trying a little bit. And maybe our $300 cell phone bills and all our internet and our Netflix, and maybe we were spending foolishly on Starbucks, but still we had this society. It was surfing along. It was it was how we lived, and we had brought to this normal, and then the rug got ripped out from underneath us.
Yeah, I was treading water. I mean, I was
all of us.
Yeah, all of us. I was in a transition period, as you know. I got out of an old career and I was launching the Alpha Shift, and in a very interesting transitory situation in my life. And honestly, I began the year, Don, and I'm like, I really want to see. I'm over here, way on the left, or way in the red, we'll say, and I want to get way over here in the black. And not that I know not to look at the how, but I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pull this off. I don't know, I don't know how I'm going to pull a miracle off like this. And now I'm in the middle of this worldwide pandemic with everything shifting. And I'm like, I smell refund. I smell forgiveness. I think I might end up, personally, I'm feeling like I'm going to end up better off than if this had never happened. And it may sound like a terrible thing to say, but I think that everything happens for a reason. I believe in a higher power. I believe in there is good in this universe, and that things happen as they're supposed to unfold for our ultimate best good. And I think that a lot of prayers are going to be answered. It looks really scary right now for people who maybe aren't thinking that broadly. Maybe they're just, just looking at what's right in front of them on the radar screen, and they're a little frightened. But I would say take heart. I think that things are on the horizon that we can't yet imagine. And, as especially as things get moving again, and we get out of this holding pattern. But the holding pattern is necessary. Now is the time. The caterpillar is in the cocoon right now, and I would say that's a metaphor for all of us. The caterpillar is in the cocoon at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, and if you are, I mean, I'll call Dave, you and I very lucky at the moment. I don't have a family member who's been affected. There's
Hmm.
been a couple coworkers who have, and it's extremely sad. The guy who sold me every one of my cars, he
Hmm.
lost his battle with coronavirus, and so it's like it's around me, and so
Yeah.
I don't want to minimize that there is major tragedy.
Sure.
As
Yeah.
as of 8 weeks ago, there were some people with maybe underlying health conditions or a little bit
Sure.
older, and nobody was thinking, well, I'm about to lose them. And now, 8 weeks later, 37,000 Americans
Yeah.
are gone because of
Yeah.
coronavirus, and my heart
Yeah.
goes out to them. But
Yeah.
if you are lucky, like Dave and I, that you have a roof over your head, you've been
Yes.
able to hit the pause button on work. I know financially we're all scared and it's going to
Yeah.
be rough and we don't know what the future looks like, but it is a chance to say, okay, what can I do different?
Yeah.
What is this calling me to do? Because it is a wake up
That's
call. And
exactly it, Don. That's
yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what I've been going through for the past month. It's exactly it. Yes.
yeah,
I hear you, brother. Yes, and it's exactly what it is, and that's the opportunity that I'm suggesting. Don't let that slip by. Don't be too so anxious to get back to the way things were, to get back to what you used to know as a semblance of stability and normalcy, because this is an opportunity to create a whole new normal, to get out of that holding pattern. I mean, some of us. I mean, I was treading water. I was doing fine. I was going to the gym every day. My bills were paid. I was, creating kind of slowly, and I was getting things done. I was like living an okay life, but this is my chance to become the legendary badass that I've always envisioned myself as, to go for broke and
yep,
just do it. And so, that's the blessing I want to take from this. And yes, you're right. There has been tragedy. We've lost 37,000 American lives. I don't know the stats for the rest of the world, but yes, there has been tragedy, and there may be yet, there may be even not infected folks, but I mean there with the economic, some of the short-term economic consequences, people might not be able to get medications. Maybe there will be depression issues, so there will be some things that we're going to be dealing with.
yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
it's like the numbers are just it's staggering when you think about it. Like, I know on New Year's Day, and we had many podcasts since New Year's Day.
Yeah.
We didn't mention this. We mentioned it jokingly, I think, about the end of February, and you did the William Shatner, Captain
Yes.
Kirk opening, and it was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I'll next week I'll just do it from home, but then we'll be back in the studio after that.
Right.
And it's amazing that, let's say, January 1st to here we are, April 15th, 4 months, 120,000 deaths from this worldwide, and it's numbing. It's hard to put just wrap your head around those numbers. And if you look at America, in 8 weeks, we went from like a dozen deaths to 37,000. And it's eye opening. And it goes back again. Like, if your eyes are opened, then don't waste this chance. And if I
Don't
could,
waste this chance.
yeah, and if I could add one more thing, like you
Yeah.
talked about, like, okay, let's say you have been in quarantine, shell shocked, because this is a shell shock situation. Like, you
Sure.
don't know what to do. We've never been locked in place. 9/11 was terrible and it affected a lot of the country, but it didn't. It mostly affected to New York, and then the young men and women who went off to war. But this affects everyone in every corner, coast to coast. It is universal. And if you have been
Universal.
shell shocked for 4 weeks, don't worry. Don't worry if all you did was watch Tiger King and
Yeah.
Netflix. Like, listen
I
to
know
this
people like
podcast.
that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen to this podcast today, and tomorrow start exercising. Start
Yes.
getting up at 6 a.m. or the 5:30 club like Dave's in, and start whatever it is that you thought you would do if you had an extra hour or 2 hours in your day every single day, because you don't have the day-to-day craziness. You're not taking kids to practices. You don't have the hour commute, to and from work. You don't have excessive meetings. Your boss is not calling you in the evening. You're not getting together with friends, or you shouldn't
Right.
be. You don't have like a dinner date, or, oh my gosh, we meant to go to that my niece's birthday party. All these things are just ripped out from us,
Yeah.
and we've got time. And if you can get past the shell shock and motivate yourself to like do one or two or three of the things on your bucket list. This is that time. Not
Yeah.
to minimize that it is, taking a toll on our healthcare workers. Pray for them. Their
Yeah.
life is they don't have extra time,
No.
but
Yeah.
we
Pray,
do.
pray for them. Be a more supportive person. I'm going to add to what you just said, Don. Be a more supportive person. Know that I've seen some partisan battling go on my Facebook feed
Oh
between
yeah.
between friends who love to do that. And here's what I'm going to say to that. I'm going to say, treat them with love. Take a step back. Know that the people who think like you and the people that think maybe what you think is diametrically opposed to you, everyone is ultimately good and wants good for their loved ones and their families. And everyone who is angry and lashing out, they're simply afraid. Ask yourself what they're afraid of before you go respond or tell them how stupid they are, or hit them, or go blow up their comment with another YouTube video or an article proving how wrong they are. You know, try to think, what is, Bill from down the street afraid of? What is he lashing out about? It's called playing the understanding game. It's the way I was trained. And that's how you kind of take a deep breath, calm down, and come from a place of love. You don't have to be a ne'er-do-well when somebody's bitching you out. I mean, if you're being abused, I mean, get out of the situation. Cut somebody off. If, block somebody if you have to, but don't feed into to bickering, arguing. In recent years, we would call that partisan bickering. That seems to be how everyone divides it up.
Yep.
But
Yep.
regardless, don't fall into that. Play the understanding game with people. And if you're feeling all burnt up by something you read, just don't engage. Maybe spend less time on social media. But you can't avoid things. You're going to end up in personal conversations with people, and it's a magic thing. If your old friend Bill from down the street, you see each other walking dogs a month from now, and he's like, I just can't believe you voted for that asshole. Say, Bill, I love you, man. And just pat him on and keep walking, and just don't worry about it. Because it stops. The world doesn't get along, people say, and why are people so nasty? It stops when you stop it, and it starts with you. And so that's something
Right.
that I have really taken to heart. And I'm also going to take, and yes, Don, great suggestion. Do the things that you've been putting off. And I'm going to add a little bit, and Don, I don't think you have the video feed. I'm going to show it to our viewers at home. I have a book recommendation. It is called, it has been blowing my mind. It is called I Am the Word by a gentleman named Paul Selig. And this is a little woo woo. This is channeled information from ascended masters, and it is all about rising your consciousness into what they call a Christed or a higher level consciousness, bringing love in your heart so that you can do all the things I was talking about at the beginning, so that you can manifest the things that you really want in your life that align with your highest self, so that you will feel peace inside and you will be able to be that space for other people that you've always wanted to be. And it's really inspiring and awesome to read. I mean, you read the words off this page and you just feel yourself getting lighter. So and I'm always reading some new book that I'm so into. This is the one now. And there's a whole series of these books. I think there's like 7 of them. But I Am the Word is the first one. So that would be this episode's big book recommendation. And Don, if you ever get around to reading it, maybe we can do a discussion of it on a future episode. It is just fantastic. And
well, I do have time. The book I can't show you on my camera is Elmore Leonard's 10 Rules of Writing, because
okay.
I am currently finishing up my own book.
Excellent.
I just got asked to help co-write another book, so
Okay.
I always like to go back and remind myself. But I would love to read that book, because another disaster of this quarantine is that we put on our news source, we watch our social media, and our leaders are bickering like teenage girls. In fact, they're worse than teenage girls, because I have a teenage girl and she doesn't fight with anyone like these politicians do. So if you let yourself just focus on that negative, it will bring you down, because
yes,
it
do
is.
not focus. Yes, you're right, Don. Do not
Yeah.
focus on that. I have a one more thought on that. And I remember it's been going on, for years since Trump's running for president in 2016, and I remember in 2016 feeling inside my gut and thinking, this isn't normal. This feels like being, and not that I've ever been, but I just knew this is like being at war. This isn't this isn't a conversation taking. This is a war, a flat out war. It's like battle. It felt like you could feel it in the air. I was listening to a lot of talk radio at the time, and families were breaking up. People were getting divorced because the husband supported Trump
Oh
and the
yeah. Oh, it was bad. It
it
still is bad.
was bad. And I'm gonna table this conversation. Go watch that documentary I mentioned,
Okay.
and you might think that it's really a war. Like, it's more than partisan bickering. It's some nastiness and people fighting for their lives in a way that's really hard to talk about unless you've all looked at the same information. That might be a topic for another time. And we'll wait and see how things play out in the world. We just might have things to talk about anyway. What I'm going to do at this juncture is simply encourage people to do some investigating. And whenever you're investigating anything, whenever you're watching a new documentary or looking at an article that somebody sends you, always use great discernment and know that the ultimate authority is within you. You're going to have to look at multiple sides of an issue. You're going to have to look at information that seems to conflict, and you're going to have to figure it the fuck out. There is no one who's going to tell you this is how it is. Listen to me. I'm going to give you all the answers. I think people crave that, Don. It doesn't exist. The only authority, true authority, is within and listening to your own inner guidance. I'm getting a little weird, aren't I? But
Well, I want to go back to your the Paul Selig book.
yes, yes.
You called it woo woo. I was just trying to get to the point that I need a little woo woo
Yes.
love. Everything's happy, beautiful. I need that, so I'm gonna read that.
Oh, you're going to love it. And it doesn't deny that there's a lot of discomfort that's going to take place in the physical world. I mean, that's not to deny the reality of that, but when you understand that you are so much more than this physical body is a vehicle for you to experience consciousness, experience yourself, experience awareness. When you look at it like that and think of it more like I don't know, the proper allegory escapes me. Maybe I don't want to call it like a game, but when you look at it like that, you understand that the love in your heart and the spirit that you are, that's what real reality is. Then you can contextualize some of the suffering and the scary things that go on in the world and contextualize it properly. And yes, and when you can anchor in the woo woo, anchor in that love spirit, then all of a sudden, the world and the experiences in your life, they're just experiences. It's like, oh, this is an interesting experience. Oh, this is cool. I'm going bankrupt. Oh, this
Well,
is cool.
look at
Yeah,
this amazing world I'm in. I just went on my phone while we are talking, and I am listening
mhm,
to you. But I Am the
yep,
Word is available on an app, and I'm downloading the audiobook at this very moment.
awesome,
So it's
awesome,
so
awesome.
if you are, whoever is listening, I use Hoopla through my
Okay,
local library. This is a free download. I'm going to
okay.
listen to his audiobook. So again, this is another part. The amazing thing about the world that we live in
Will you
is that
send me that link so I can put it in the show notes?
I will. I will.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
this moment in time is the only. I mean, we all these technological advances to get us to this point. We couldn't have done this 5 years ago. We
No.
couldn't have done our podcast from your basement and my bedroom 5 years ago. My entire sales team in my building, and then my giant corporation, and all of our sales staffs in all of our cities were all working from home. And
Yeah.
advertisers are pulling back, but we, the staff, we haven't missed a beat. Dave, I mean,
Good.
you know I'm in radio,
Yeah.
and so if there are 6 radio stations here in Detroit, and every day now, our building, except for, I'm going to say 5 people, it runs. Every
Okay.
station is on the air. If you listen, you would have to have the most well-trained ear to know that the sidekicks and the studio people, they're doing their shows from home. And there are just a couple
Huh.
people in the building called board ops that just make sure the audio feed is coming through. They set
Okay.
up their show about a half an hour in advance. We've got all of our people that put commercials in place and promos in place. They're working from their kitchen tables, and we are running there's 100 people in my building on a regular day in normal time, and now there's like 4 or 5, and nothing has missed. Like, we haven't gone dead air. No commercials have been missed. All the shows sound live. They talk about the weather as it's happening, traffic updates, not that there's as much. And it's like, you just embrace, like, it's amazing where we are in the world, that only now with Zoom and Skype and all these things, we can do this. We couldn't have done this 10 years ago. It would have been even greater collapse of society 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, think about this too. As you were saying that, I was thinking, okay, we're never going to go back to the old normal, and we may never have been aware that we could pull that off if this pandemic hadn't happened. So now, moving forward, eventually we're going to be able to come out of our houses. Eventually, we're going to all feel physically safe again, relatively. And so, but now the radio stations know that they can operate a board operator in the building and everybody basically working remotely. It's now been proven, tested, and done. So imagine how that might change your industry moving, because I imagine that most radio stations around the country and around the world are operating similarly.
Yeah.
And everyone knows that works now. How is that going to change your industry? I mean, think about that,
It makes it more nimble. I mean, it makes
a
it
lot more nimble.
that you don't have to get giant committees and a staff to think about how will that work? Can we do it? Now we know, oh, we can just do it. Someone snaps their fingers and says, yeah, you know what? You can't come to the office anymore. Okay. Then we figured it out. Doctors' offices, everybody, just because we have a pandemic doesn't mean people stop getting, other illnesses, stomach aches, stomach flus, they sprain their ankle, they get a rash they can't explain. We're doing all these what are they called?
Teleconferencing or whatever.
Yeah, telemedicine.
Telemedicine.
You can meet with your doctor. You can take your own temperature. You can just have that conversation that you sit in there. You know how it is. You go to a doctor. You sign the form. You wait in the waiting room. Then they bring you back. They weigh you. They put you in a room. You sit there for 5-10 minutes, and it's this long process. And now it can be done, we know, by FaceTime. However a doctor wants to do it.
And what if, like, radio talent? What if I don't want to come into the office ever? I can just, like, sit at my kitchen table in my bathrobe and, like, be doing the morning show. I mean, not that I don't know if I would want to do that, but that's possible. That gives the world a flexibility that never would have existed before. If I want to do, if I've got an exciting episode of the Alpha Shift podcast and Kathy says, well, Don just had his appendicitis surgery and he's recovering. I said, bring the camera feed into the ICU. He's working, you could, and I would not do that to you, Don, but it's like there's flexibility, that we never would have, we wouldn't even have stretched our minds there in the past, because necessity is kind of the mother of invention. And so everybody got locked at home, and you guys were we don't want to just shut down and not operate. And so you figured it out and you found something that's working. I mean, I'm sure revenue's not what it was because advertisers pulled back, but other than that, you're operating at pretty much 100% capacity.
Right, but it will get there. And the people that do commute 45 minutes in the morning and 45 minutes at night, and they have 2 young children, and they sometimes probably look at themselves and they say, why am I doing this? And it's not just in my office. We know. I mean, all you got to do is go out on 696 in the morning on a regular day, and you can see people who are spending so much time in their car. If you only have an hour in your car a day, you're very lucky. But a lot of people, it's an hour and a half of your life. You might be able to get that back. And now employers and bosses, they're going to be more forgiving because you have proven to them now that, oh yeah, I can be just as effective in my laptop at a home office than as I can be coming all the way in. And if you're in an office environment, you know that there are distractions. Someone's like, hey, you want to run out for lunch? Hey, you want to go grab a cup of coffee? Hey, did you watch that show last night? Are you watching Ozark? Oh my gosh, talk about Ozark. There's a million distractions that pull your time away, which is great. It's why we're social human beings. We like to interact and be around each other. But if your job is your job and those are the things taking away, working from home, those distractions are not there.
Yeah. Well, yes, absolutely. However,
they are now.
One warning I would give you, as someone who has worked from home for the last 8 years as a freelance writer, there's a whole new set of distractions that are going to be there waiting for you at home. So, but you can create structure. If you have a home office, you schedule your day. My suggestion I know I've talked about the 5 a.m. club. I'm not getting up, Don, full confession, I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. every morning lately, but I am getting up at 6:30 and doing the procedure for the most part, doing my morning ritual. I've just like, I can't get up at 5 a.m. I have to go to bed so early to get up at 5 a.m. and make it work. And so I allow myself 6:30.
Well, that's what
But
those that's what miss all those gurus are always like, get up early, but you don't realize like, okay, if you want to be a functioning adult, you better have 6 hours of sleep, but 7 hours is better. So if you're in the 5 a.m. club, 10 o'clock becomes your bedtime.
you're right. Well, yeah, absolutely. And here's the real gist of the 5 a.m. club. And here's the real the meat of that is that most of your productivity, most of your focus is in the morning when you're fresh. As the day goes on, as it goes into the afternoon and into the evening, you lose your willpower, you lose your focus, you lose your energy. It's a natural cycle.
Yeah, that
You've,
makes
you're
sense.
the tank is the most full in the morning. So do your work in the morning. This is kind of exciting doing this podcast in the morning, Don. I mean, who knows? Maybe we could play around and get up real early one morning. Do it at like 7, 8 a.m. Like the morning show with Dave and Don. How about that?
I think that would be great. We'll
Yeah,
try. We'll see how fresh we are.
yeah,
What are
yeah. Do it like that. I kind of love that. And so,
Well, it's
um,
the old it's the age old expression. Let's sleep on it,
yeah,
and that's for a reason because all the everything that seems impossible when you're overtired and you've spent a whole day and it's 11 o'clock at night,
mhm,
everything seems impossible and unsolvable. But
yeah,
oh my gosh, you get a good night's sleep, you wake up, you have a nice good cup of coffee, suddenly, oh wait, you know what? It's not as bad as I thought. We're gonna get past this,
yeah,
and yeah, you're fresh in the morning,
yeah.
and that is the beauty of getting up early, rise
It,
and shine. Like,
it is magnificent. I get up in the morning and maybe I'll listen to an audio. There's this great Abraham Hicks meditation on abundance that I love to listen to. I'll do a little bit of meditating. I'll read whatever great book, positive book I'm into. Right lately, it's been I Am the Word, but it's always something, some sort of positive, life-enhancing book, and maybe do some journaling. And that's my morning ritual. And then of course some push-ups and sit-ups because I haven't been able to go to the gym. And that starts my day right. That gets me, and then hopefully go into the whatever work I have to do that day. If I'm writing an article, if I'm creating some content, that's the time to do that. Right after I've done my morning ritual, it's still the morning. I'm up, because a habit I got into in the past was leaving work until the afternoon and evening, and then trying to do it on a quarter tank of gas, and it takes 5 times as long to get it done because I can't focus.
yep.
So yeah, the world is yours. It's remember, guys. It's all about how you spend your time, what you fill your head with, how mentally and emotionally both loving and strong and tough you are. It's like ultimately you want to open your heart, and because a closed defensive heart ultimately is going to put you in a place of weakness where you're not going to be able to create the things you want to create. But um, really we're trudging into new territory. And so I would love to invite the listeners to give us a comment. If you're watching this on video, if you're watching it on YouTube or on Facebook, you blow us up in the comments and let us know what you think. If you're watching this on the website, give me a comment there. Send emails to support@thealphashift.com. Don and I really want to hear what you think. We want to know
Yeah,
what's on your mind. We want, yeah,
the world is changing. The
yes,
future will be forever changed, whether you want that to be true or not. It is true. It will be a long time before I can just go to my Ace Hardware and grab their fresh popcorn. When will I go back to a movie theater? I mean, that almost seems like never. So the world is changing. It may be forever changed. So don't miss this opportunity if you've ever thought of changing to also change.
yeah. I mean, the world will be. You will eventually taste that delicious popcorn again, Don.
Oh, I hope
Um,
so.
you will, but the world will be forever changed. Believe you me. It's just like things were never quite the same after 9/11. Things are going to never be the same after this, and so we are going to we have a new destiny, and I, for one, am all in on believing that it's a good one, and that it's good for every man, woman, and child, all good people. That our collective well-being is going to rise, and that we have an optimistic. I refuse to be pessimistic. I refuse to say the sky is falling. I believe that we have more control and more power than we've ever known, than we believe is possible, and that we have to set forth our intention, raise our vibration, read good books like I Am the Word, and keep an eye out for new material that Don and I are going to be creating. I am laying out a new course, Don, and I know I've been talking about it for the last few episodes. I've been little hints. Here's the thing. It keeps changing because I keep evolving. And I'm like, no, they don't need that. They need this. And so, it's really a matter of me giving myself permission. And I guess that's going to be the theme I'm going to leave everybody with, for me personally, is giving myself permission to truly be my authentic self and share my authentic self with the audience. And if I'm confessing, I haven't quite done that yet. I've had the habit all of my life of playing the character I need to play to get the job done. And I'm just going to go ahead and give you the raw, unadulterated Dave Krueger. And that's what I'm going to share with you. And that's the insight that I had, is that's what's going to help people. That's how I'm going to connect with men, with an audience, and give them what they need, is by opening up and giving them what I really have inside. Not what I think they need to have, not what I would expect them to. Okay, what's that term that Michelle told us?
The rubric.
The rubric, yes. Not the rubric I would create for you, but what is just really inside. And I think that audiences, like you said earlier in this podcast, Don, audiences are craving that authenticity. They're craving that realness. They'd rather have real than perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what that has to change. And I'll be, I'm here sidekick, and we'll be like, we're watching Dave shift, change like a caterpillar that turns into a butterfly. This is the new. I don't know. That's a bad example.
Yeah,
but that's
good. I like it. Like the caterpillar that turns into a butterfly, and perhaps the alpha shift will take on a whole new meaning that it never had before.
Well, this has been fun, Dave. This is
fun. Don, can I count on you for next Saturday morning? Is this a good time?
Yeah, I think I won't have anything going on. I think I'll be good.
Well, then, I am going to say to the audience, we love you guys, and we will see you next week. Don and I will be back in the not studio, in the comforts of our own home next Saturday, with more insights, bringing this great journey to the next chapter. I am going to sign off and say, Nasta Danya. See you guys next time.
Thanks for listening, guys.
All right. I will see you next time. Thanks.